Coming up on Mountain News this morning, some tips from officials about how you can stay safe in heavy rain. And an anti-Semitic attack in New York changed the atmosphere of Hanukkah celebrations in Lexington. Also in Lexington, one pizza delivery ended with an allegation of racism against a Pizza Hut employee.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 6:32 on December 30th. I'm Madison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. So if you're just getting up on this Monday morning, you've probably heard a little rainfall overnight, but let's go to Brandon Robinson. Brandon, you say maybe some sun might be peeking through later on?
If the satellite radar is to be believed, that cloud deck is starting to erode from the area. Let's take a look at that this morning, and good morning to you, Madison. We're looking at, again, back toward I-75 and west, those clouds clearing out. We'll have to take a look at our hazard cam here in just a second to see, because that line's almost here, and I'm cautiously optimistic. Now, of course, some days when we think the clouds are going to move out, they don't, but the rain has moved down. So we're going to continue to see that trend through the morning, drying out there just a little bit, and can't really tell there on the camera. I'm going to have to sneak out the back door and look here in just a second and see what we're looking at cloud cover wise. 50 right now, Irvin. Temperatures are dropping with the front. 50 also London, 40s in Somerset and Monticello, but still in the mid 50s across parts of eastern and southeastern Kentucky over into the Big Sandy, close to 60 there in Logan this morning. Temperature change, yep, it's a pretty big one from this time yesterday. Two spots, Middlesboro and Ashland, only a couple of degrees warmer than they were this time yesterday. Temperatures will slide a little longer, then they'll rebound back to close to 50 by this afternoon before starting to slide again, especially if we get some sunshine. That'll help us rebound just a little bit. A breezy day, mainly cloudy skies, but again, some sunshine possible throughout the day, and we'll start to dry out as we head toward the end of 2019. The rest of the forecast is on the way here in just a little bit. Madison?
Thank you, Brandon. Well, the Pike County community is mourning the loss of James Earl Williams. Williams died on Saturday. He was a deputy sheriff and very involved with the Belfry Fire Department. Some of the people who worked alongside him said they are trying to fill the void of such an important member of their team.
James was a fire captain and also the president for roughly 20 years of the 36 years he was at the fire department here. And he played an integral role in everything that we did.
Deputy Williams' visitation is this evening at 6 p.m. at the Belfry High School auditorium. His funeral will be tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the same place. He was 54 years old. And we are now just a day away from the Belk Bowl between Kentucky and Virginia Tech. Teams spent their Sunday morning giving back to the community and the afternoon having a little fun. WYMT's Will Puckett has the recap.
Sunday's event started out with a little bit of philanthropy work, but it all wrapped up at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and many of the Kentucky players hopping inside on one of these. With game day looming, Kentucky players got out Sunday night competing against their own.
We love doing it, and that's what it's a competition between everybody, no matter what we do. No matter if it's this morning at the food bank packing bags or it's out here doing this at the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Between a simulated pit stop.
You just want to make sure that you're the best on the team. And, I think after a couple more practice runs, we'll be there.
To a driving simulator.
Man, it's amazing. It's a little different than really driving. Once you get the hang of it, it's real fun. It's real competitive. It's a great time.
The NASCAR Hall of Fame delivered.
They kept spinning me out, though, but, I got the hang of it now. I want to go again, though.
But before this fun was had, the players and Coach Stoops worked on giving back to the community here in Charlotte.
It's good for them to get out and give back. Like I said, it's not hard for me to prod our team to do things. They want to do it.
Players like Paintsville's own Cash Daniel, Lynn Bowden, and more filled backpacks that will go to help out nearly 3,000 kids here in the city.
It's bigger than football. We're down here to have a good time and obviously, win a football game. But at the same time, Danny and the great people here at the Belk Bowl have allowed us, to go to great such events. Like yesterday, went to the NASCAR track, and today coming here and making an impact on the Charlotte community.
All gearing up for 60 more minutes on the gridiron Tuesday. So a little bit of good work to start off the day, and then a whole lot of fun as the Kentucky players race against each other to the finish line. In Charlotte, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
We will continue our coverage from Charlotte later today with Media Day for Kentucky and Virginia Tech. And a pair of University of Virginia's College at Y students took home top honors at the National Collegiate Cornhole Championship. Austin Schlumbaum and Isaac Green took home the doubles title on Saturday. Schlumbaum also capped off the day winning the singles championship, and the NCCC was held at the Myrtle Beach Sports Center in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and broadcast on ESPNU. The National Collegiate Cornhole Championship crowns the best college team and alumni team from around the country. And a pair of WKU engineering students have built a life-size version of the school's beloved mascot, Big Red. It's made of 40,000 red, white, and black Legos and weighs 350 pounds. The students used a 3D scanner of the mascot, then converted that information into a PDF file that laid out all the dimensions. It took them an entire year to complete the sculpture, and the pieces are sealed with glue to make sure Big Red does not come apart. And in Lexington, one pizza delivery ended with an allegation of racism against a Pizza Hut employee. The accusation is on a Facebook post where one woman posted a series of texts she says came from her delivery driver. In the post, the woman says she did not know she left a 9-cent tip on her order. She says the driver first called her, then began texting her roommate, allegedly refusing to deliver the food. The text then escalated, went on to threats to spit in her poster's food and using racial slurs, including calling the customer the N-word. A Pizza Hut spokesperson responded to the exchange, saying they don't believe the food was tampered with, but confirmed the driver was fired for using offensive language and threats. And a suspect in a string of stabbings during a Hanukkah celebration in New York on Saturday was arrested by the NYPD shortly after midnight Sunday. Grafton Thomas was driving a Nissan Sentra across into New York City when his car tags were captured by a license plate reader at about 11:45 p.m. Saturday, authorities said. Thomas was arrested without incident soon after and transported upstate. Thomas was led into the courtroom in handcuffs, and he kept his eyes on the floor and said nothing audible during the proceedings, speaking only to his attorney. Thomas entered a not guilty plea, and his next court appearance is Friday. And that anti-Semitic attack last night in New York changed the atmosphere ahead of the Shabbat of the Bluegrass public menorah lighting last night. An event that was meant to celebrate the 8th night of Hanukkah also became a way to honor the 5 people stabbed during a Hanukkah celebration. WKYT's Shelby Smithson shows us how.
It was a night for celebration tinged with sadness as the Kabbat of the Bluegrass's grand menorah lighting fell on the heels of an anti-Semitic attack in New York. 5 people were stabbed after a man attacked a Hanukkah celebration in a rabbi's home.
If you would see the list of headlines for the last week in New York, in New Jersey, in Muncie, you would think they're coming out of Berlin in 1930 or Jerusalem in the 20s. So it's a frightening time for American Jewry, certainly.
But instead of letting that fear drive them backward, the Kabbat of the Bluegrass is using it as fuel for the fire that lit the 8th candle in Sunday night's public menorah lighting at the summit at Fritz Farm.
You can't beat back hate with a broom or a stick. You have to beat it back with light.
That's the message behind the fully lit menorah. Though it took several attempts to light in the rain, the entire group stood firm, singing songs of the holiday until every wick was burning. A show of solidarity proving that not hate, nor fear, nor the rain will dull their light.
And we will continue to survive. We'll continue to make light. We'll continue to be proud and loud and Jewish.
In Lexington, Shelby Smithson, WKYT.
And that was not the only attack on Service of Faith this weekend. 2 people are dead and another person is critically injured after a shooting at a church in the city of White Settlement in northern Texas. The shooting comes more than 2 years after a gunman opened fire at the church in Sutherland Springs, about 300 miles away from White Settlement, killing at least 26 people. Texas Governor Greg Abbott offered his condolences in the wake of the shooting, and the church's live stream caught the moment an armed gunman opened fire while the video was turned off. Gunshots could be heard from the live stream. White Settlement Police Chief J.P. Bevering praised the 2 heroic churchgoers who returned fire and killed the suspect. He said there is no ongoing threat to the incident. And Governor Andy Beshear released a statement last night on those 2 attacks. He said, quote, "The attacks this weekend in New York and Texas are sickening. We are all human beings who deserve dignity and respect and to be able to practice our religions without fear or violence," end quote. And some encouraging news this morning about state lawmaker John Bam Carney. Former Speaker of the House Jeff Huber shared on Twitter that Carney is now stable. The doctors say his vitals are looking good, but Carney is not out of the woods just yet. The House Majority Floor Leader was in the ICU last week with a severe case of pancreatitis.
Well, the forecast starting to clear out some after some heavy rain overnight. That's the good news. And the bad news is, well, there may not be any bad news. The clouds starting to clear as well. Still some clouds around the area. Let's take a look at Buffalo Mountain. And again, still a bit too dark. I might have to peek my head out the door and see what's going on. Have to do a visual inspection there as we head through the first part of your day. But if the clouds continue to clear, we'll see some sunshine early this morning. And that will happen sooner rather than later. Those counties out to the west, which will help us rebound there a little bit. The cold front coming through. Temperatures down in the 40s, Danville, Somerset, Monticello, Williamsburg, close to 50, Irvine and London, but still in those low to mid 50s across the eastern half of the area. The out the door forecast, we're going to continue to drop for just a little while, and then we'll start to rebound briefly back closer to 50 before we start to drop again heading into the nighttime hours. It's going to be a chilly overnight as well. Madison.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Here's a look at what's ahead. Officials from President Trump's national security team met with the president in Florida on Saturday, where they discussed growing threat of North Korea. And one person was killed after a small plane crashed into two homes in Maryland this past weekend.